Welcome everyone to our hack show, first iOS hack show in Barcelona. It's a pleasure to be here, and yeah, thank you very much. It's an honor, and thanks to the students. I want to thank the students, thank Mob also for hosting us. It's been well, they're always too kind to us, and yeah, we're gonna get started. First of all, let me introduce and tell you what the hack show is. Hack show is basically where our students showcase projects that they built over the last 2 weeks of our intensive iOS bootcamp. So you can tweet here with the hashtag Hackshow, and that's our Twitter. So what do we do 8 weeks? Well, they spend 400, or some of them over 400 hours a year. So and then basically the main objective of Ironhack is to teach people how to build things, build digital products. So it's all very practical and very practice oriented. You get your hands on the computer from day one and start coding all the time. This is what we do. It's over 8 weeks. It's all on the website. The curriculum. So basically, over the first 6 weeks, it's more theory, well mixed with exercises, very practical, as I said. And then over the last 2 weeks, that's when you've done their projects, the ones that they're presenting right now, and they will be presenting. And how do we do it? It's basically coding, more coding, and a lot of coding. So very, very practical. Who did these students learn from? So we have a particular way of structuring the class. So each week we have a professor that can let's say lecture-based part of the day, and then they do a lot of exercises, and then we have a cross teacher, which is kind of this is John. Thank you, John. So he basically is there for the students for anything they need, so that no one lags behind or gets a bit. John is there to keep, let's say, the pace of the course running, and to let's say where he likes to be. So thanks, Diego. And Victor Barba and Daniel Garcia work together. Victor from London and Danny came from Madrid. They're incredible professionals and really state-of-the-art at what they do, so thank you. And then Kamal Bouquet as well, who also collaborated with us in the Ruby and Web Development Bootcamp. So that's what the teachers, the mentors that have helped the students over the last 2 weeks with their projects. They have showed them what the best way to tackle problems are, and they have supported them and kind of helped them tackle problems, as I said, and identified in which way it was better to have an MVP, to have something that you can show for, which is not easy in 2 weeks sometimes. Students can get maybe over ambitious, trying to build a rocket ship in 2 weeks, but to have something that you can show, it's not that easy at all. So these are the mentors. I want to thank John Romano, Oriol, Diego Reniche again, Waika, Albert, Double Albert, and Ruben Mortensen. So thank you very much for that. And well, our process is to get into Ironhack. Basically, you have to apply. There's a 3-step applying process. First, you gotta apply on the web. Then we have a interview for fit. We see whether students, whether prospective students are a fit to us in terms of motivation. And then we have the technical interview. For the iOS bootcamp, we require people to be proficient with one programming language, so that they all come with kind of a similar background, similar level, and they can make the most out of the program. Then that's the process, and then there's a pre-work. So we have about 60 hours of work that you do on remote, and we hold periodic hangouts during that time, which normally is 1 month to 3 weeks. We hold maybe weekly hangouts that everyone comes with a similar level and that the basics are known to everyone. And then the weeks of the bootcamp. So what are we going to see today? As I said, we're going to see projects. Students, it's 3 actually, not 5, right? So it's 3 projects that are the ones that the students have done over the last 2 weeks of the course, and they are not meant to be. Some people ask if they are startups or if they need funding and nothing like that. We just think it's a very good exercise for the students to kind of think about an idea, put it together, come here, think about value proposition and this kind of stuff, how they're going to sell something in order to also be better coders and better their own product, right? So we think it's a great exercise, so it's just an academic exercise, although some projects Ironhack projects have already gone on to become startups, right? But that's that. So now we're gonna give t-shirts away. So some graduation presents, titles in Ironhack. So please, big round of applause for each of the students. First of all, Paul Quintana. Then Maria. Kyle. Congratulations. Albert. What's up? And Francisco. Congratulations. And so after this, we're going to have 3 students come up and present the projects, which are the 3 finalists, and then a keynote by Cecilia Tam, founder of Fab Cafe Barcelona, and also the mob. So thank you, Cecilia. So we'll start with Paul. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the show, and if you have any questions, feel free to come up to any of us, me or Xavi, or join as well to talk about the program or anything any other questions you might have. So enjoy the show. A round of applause for Paul.
Can you hear me? Yeah? Yeah. So, hello everybody, my name is Paul Quintana. I'm here from near Barcelona, more or less 45 kilometers away. I'm at the moment studying telematics engineering, but my history with the coding started when I was 13 and I started to mess with Windows Mobile code. Earlier this year I decided to switch and start doing what I want. So I'm going to introduce you my app, which is called Powwow. So the first thing I want to talk about is the name. Powwow is a name that it's used for the Native Americans to say when they are meeting, and they have a meeting when they are dancing, singing, socializing. But it's also used for the business people in America to say it's like a meeting synonymous. So what's really the idea of Powwow? So everybody of you have had the situation when you want to have a meeting with somebody, and you know that it's going to be a little bit trickier to have a schedule, because you never know when is available the other person, and this problem is going to grow up if you have more than one attendant in the meeting. So that's more or less what I'm going to solve, or what it's planned to be solved with the app. So what's the process you have to do with the app? So that's 3 simple steps. You only choose the attendance, then you choose which is your desired date, and then you choose more or less which are your hours needed, and then it's done. So a little bit more details. Power your calendar events, and it's going to take all the calendar events of all the attendance that you set, and it's going to overlap everything and find the better schedule for that meeting. But no privacy is compromised. I'm going to talk a little bit about that later. So don't be scared about the idea of uploading your calendar events on the cloud. So what did I use? Well, core data, bots, magical record, movie generator for generating the NS object, NS manage object class for the core data, event kit, and also NS user defaults to manage all the login things that has the app. So here's the app. When you first open it, it's going to log in with bars, and here's the main screen. You are not seeing it very well, but in the main screen you can see the week that is the current week, and down of the number of the day is going to tell you if there are events there. So if you on the Monday, it's going to all the events that you have from Monday. But if you click on Wednesday, you don't want to take care of what did you have on Tuesday. You're only going to see Wednesday to Sunday. So this way you are going to avoid the crap of other events. Sliding menu, and I'm going to talk with all the other sections. Here you're going to have all your meeting invitations. We're going to talk about how to send a meeting invitation later. You can also have here your contacts. I only have Kuro right now. You can have here a profile. It's going to be prettier. It's not going to be like this in the final version. And you're going to also have a config where you are going to choose which calendars you want to take in care when you are uploading your event. If, for example, I have a calendar which are the holiday days here in Spain, I don't want that to be a problem when I'm finding a schedule for a meeting. So I'm just avoiding it. Yeah, less problems. There is also an about section, which nothing in it, just the logo. So we are going to create a meeting. I have to meet Kuro on Tuesday. So I know that he has a meeting on Tuesday, yeah, from 9 to 11. So as I have his contact, I can do something like that. Here you can see the screen for creating a meeting. Up there you can see the attendance. Right now the logo will be, and then you can click on the plus button and add Kuro, for example. You click save, and then it's going to be Kuro's face from there. So we have a meeting. We have to create a new project which is called iCorruptus. So we were talking about on Thursday, it was the 2nd of December, and we're going to need more or less 3 hours. Yeah. So we click continue, and here you're going to see which are the empty spaces overlapping my calendar and its calendar. So as you can see, on Tuesday he has an event from 9 to 11. So I decided to have a working space from 8 to 8. So from 8 to 9, there's not a space bigger than or equal than 3 hours. So you are not going to see that space. So the best choice will be that one. You also have the spaces for the previous day and also the next day. To take any of these empty spaces, you can also force a date. But in that case, I'm going to use that one. So when I'm sending an invitation, he's going to see something right here, and then he's going to accept or decline. Well, it's his choice. And then another feature that I add is that when you create an event, it's going to be shown in your local apps, well, where your calendar app of choice, but it's going to be in an other calendar. Just if you want to avoid having your Powwow meetings here in your main calendar app, you're not going to see it. So that's more or less the demo. Let's continue with the slides. So I've taken a bigger photo about privacy. I think that's the thing that we have to take care in nowadays. So here we have Powwow. In one side we have our calendars. On I have Bars, which is my backend, and there's also Step, which is an SQLite. It's my persistence choice. It's going to store. When I open the app, the calendar are going to store in my core data persistence, and then I also want to other people that want to have a meeting with me know what are my empty spaces. So I'm going to send it also to Bars, but I'm going to have just an intermediate step because nobody wants that your data is going to be stored on on the cloud. So that way, I'm only going to upload to Bars the start and the end of the meetings. So that way, nobody is going to know anything about your meeting. Where is it? Just the start and the end. And then I'm going to upload it to Bars when it's anonymized. And if somebody needs my empty spaces, it's going to ask for it in Bars, and then it's going to be shown on Powwow. So my biggest challenges are Bars and core data. I had 2 different models on Bars and core data. On Bars I had an efficient one, and on the simplest one I thought it would be for the app. So that's one of the biggest challenges. And then there's another challenge, the matching algorithm. It's the way that the calendars of two attendants are going to be overlapped. The algorithm is more, I think it's about 320 lines of code, and it took me more or less 5 days of work, so that's one of the main challenges. Well, tools that I use to manage the project, I use Trello, I use Git, Swipes, and also a notebook. Which is the roadmap from here. I want to add push notifications, the interactive ones. I also want to add the localization of the events, and maybe using the localization, determine which are going to be the gaps between one event and the next one. And then I want to tweak a little bit the UI and the UX. So I want to mention this guy. This guy made me the logo, the app. So here you have its portfolio and driver. So thank you for coming here. I hope you enjoyed. I want to thank you all the Ironhack staff for this amazing course. I also want to thank Rude, which he gave me a lot of ideas for the app, and more of a lot of the designs are from his ideas. I also want to thank Albert Piñals, which has been my mentor. He has been always there helping for everything, so I have to mention. And then, of course, to you, my colleagues here in the course. They have been like my second family during 8 weeks, so I have to thank them. So here's my information. You have the repo down there, and also the repo for the loader. You can see when it's loading. I made it, so if you want to take a look, that's it. If you have any question, I'll be.
Questions here? Could you elaborate a little more about the technical difficulty? You say about
animation. We love them, but okay. So my biggest challenge was the algorithm, as I said before. It took me more or less 5 days of work, because one day I did it and then I realized that it was not working, so the other day was the same, and like this it was 5 days of work. And the other thing is the different models here in Sparse and Core Data. In Core Data I have two entities, no, sorry, in Core Data I have 3 entities, just for simplifying the app and its code. And for efficiency, I had to use another model in parts, because I would be duplicating everything in parts. So that's more or less the explanation of why I choose the different models in parts and Core Data.
No more questions? Okay. Thank you very much.
Can you hear me? Wow. I feel like a pop star or something. Okay. So, first I just wanted to thank everybody for being here today, spending your time, coming undone. So, thank you very much for coming today. My name's Kyle Hardman, and my app is called Oddbox. Okay? So, what is Oddbox? Well, first, I knew that we were going to have to do a project, and I knew we would only have 2 weeks. And if you know anything about agile methodology, 2 weeks is like the magic number. So I knew that I wanted to choose some kind of simple project that some kind of minimum viable product at the end. It was pretty much ready, had basic functionality, and then in the future something that I can build on from there. So I think I accomplished it, as you'll see. So Oddbox is a message board, which doesn't seem too remarkable, but it's a location-based message board. So basically, there's a giant global message board, and wherever you're located, you're seeing some piece of it. And as you move around, you're seeing different pieces of it. I think the location-based stuff is going to be, it's big now, I think it's only going to get bigger. Everybody's got devices with them, and I think it's really nice as you move around, presented with different material, and the context of where you are affects the content that you're getting. So that's the idea behind it. The other thing is that it's an anonymous message board. This was important for me, not only because I can save time with logins and things like that, but I think, you know, anonymous communication is something that's really interesting. In a way, it sets you free to say anything you want. And, you know, I think we all get a little bit tired sometimes of the endless kind of push notifications, and you've got to have all your friends, and your pictures got to look cool, and all this kind of stuff. So my app, it's totally anonymous, and it doesn't care who you are. Yeah? So you don't have to worry about anything. Okay, and the last thing about it is that it's simple, and that's by design. When I show it to you, it's a really, really simple application, but I spent a lot of time making it simple, if that makes sense. Yeah. All right, so let's see a demo. That's what we want to see. Okay. Yeah, again, it's not showing up perfectly, but that's all right. Yeah, you can see, the app's called Oddbox, but up there it says litter. So it's been through a couple of phases in its development, and the point I got it to today, I really wasn't willing to try to change the project name and have everything fall apart like a house of cards. There it is. So one of the first things you'll notice is I'm not running the app already. I'm going to open it just cold, and you're going to be presented with content right away, which is something that I think is important, and it's going to be content-based. Right away, it's going to grab your location and give you something from the area that you're in. Okay, so yeah, this is a basic screen. It doesn't look like a traditional message board, which is something we have these boxes. These are the odd boxes. Yeah? Well, what is an odd box? Let's see. These are all from the area around us, because when you first open, search in a small radius around you. So these are things quite local. Probably people from the mob posted these kind of things. And so right away, you can click in there and see if there's some comments, or there are some likes up in the top corner. And yeah, I spent a lot of time getting the colors and everything to look just right. So the design was really, really important to me for this. I wanted it to look like a finished product. Yeah, the thing about it is, if you notice here at the bottom it says more or less, that's the title of the box. But inside, the message is actually different. So you can have a title and a message. And they can be the same as well, which I'll show you in a minute. Anyway, I called it Oddbox because the idea came from the graffiti in the walls on bathrooms, where you had these kind of strange, random things from people that were somewhere before you, in the same place. They were there before you. And so I wanted it to be free. I don't want to push people into any kind of particular content. Like a lot of people mention secrets when I talk about the app to them, but again, secrets, everything from the icon to the name is kind of pushing you in a certain direction, a certain type of content, and I didn't want that. So you have things like knock knock, Heisenberg lives, there's a free beer Friday. Upstairs to the Fab Cafe on Friday, there's free beer apparently, but I guess a lot of these people don't believe it. So, yeah, and it can be used for anything. I mean, someone's lost their cat, so it could be your next door neighbor, if we're looking in a really small area. Someone's asking where to get good sushi around town. So I've got this really flat design, that's important for me. It's in right now, it is the cool thing. And I have this kind of Google action button down here, which is how you control the app, except for clicking on the box. So, there's only 5 posts in this area, but we can expand the radius and oops, oh. Don't pay attention to the man behind the curtain. So, you can, so from this screen, we can do a couple of things. This is the settings menu, and it's just the second button. You can see I don't have any icons in the buttons, and it's because I wanted this really simple, clean look. I think there's only 2 buttons, and people are going to figure it out. Charlie helped me. Yeah, it's okay if it doesn't have a plus sign or the settings wheel. You're going to press it, and you'll figure it out. There's only a couple things to remember. So from here, we can sort posts a few different ways. We can change our theme. Oh, that's a really nice one. I wish the colors were as good on the screen as they are on the real. Really great here. And then finally, yeah, we can change the radius. So around, pretty far away. That sounds good. And so right away, we're going to get some more posts. And you can see the ones close to us are still included there. We're getting everything in a larger radius now. Okay, the other thing you can do here from the screen is make a new post. And like I said, you have a title and you also have a body, but it's okay if you just put a title. Let's do it. Okay, it's going to get added there right away. The title's a new one, and the body's a new one too. And the same thing if you do it with just a body. Oops. Okay. Yeah. Again. So I'm trying to make it really friendly to the user, really easy to use, really simple. If you notice, all the controls are in the bottom of the screen. You can do it with one hand, all the settings and everything. So, okay. Last thing you can add, you can add a like to something, and you can add a comment. And that's really, as far as I spent a lot of time with the look of it, trying to get it just right. And it does all the basic functions that I wanted it to do, and I have the ability to just add features now as I want to. So that's good, I think, for the demo. Yeah, what's next is one of the ideas for other features. One thing that I really like to do is create some more persistent boxes, and the idea is the colors would be reversed. So this would be green, and the text would be white. And I think you could do something like the MOB pays for this special box, and they'll always show up closer to the top. And it's a bunch of posts inside of a box. So you come here, you'd see that the MOB has their own box. And if you have something to post relating to the MOB, so that's where it should go, okay? So that's an example of what I'm thinking about in the future. Talk about that. So just really quick, things that I'm using core data. Get the information from parse, which is my backend, which I'll show you in a minute, and to cache the data so that as soon as you open it, you get content. You don't have to wait for it to load. Mode generator, if you use core data, you gotta have mode generator. Core location is a really big. Obviously, my whole app is based on location, so it's running updates in the background. So when you have the app closed, it's still updating your location. And caching that information, so as soon as you open the app, it's ready to go with your new location. Again, yeah, I'm using parse in the back end, so that's where everything is stored. Super easy to use. Yeah, as far as animations, I mean, you might have seen I have a few little things. The action button has a little pop, but I didn't use pop. It's my own. It's just a UI view animation, and I'm doing some dynamic animations as well. The new post or comment thing came down, you can see it animating a little bit. UI color and flat colors, those beautiful colors I was telling you about, it's a pod. It's actually the only pod that I used in this app. Everything else was from me. And yeah, Git. Like I said this morning, Git was my enemy and now it's my friend. You just have to embrace it, I think. And clean code. Well, this is something I really aspire to. Making your code clean so you can reuse things and everything works independently. And you know, I have to admit that I have some to do, but you know, these past 2 days, anything goes, I guess. And TDD, yeah, test-driven development. So especially in the beginning when I'm setting up my core data stack, making sure everything's running smoothly there. So that's a big one. And that's it. That's Oddbox. Do you have any questions for me?
First of all,
thank you very much.
Have you planned something to control the data of the information people post, like moderation? Because it could be a problem if you're anonymous, you can put whatever you want.
Yeah. It's definitely a consideration, yeah. And it's one of the reasons that right now it's text only. Some other websites, anonymous message boards, have a problem with getting apps in the App Store, the pictures, you never know. Yeah, it's something to think about. I mean, I think that's something I'll have to think about more deeply. As for right now, you can see it's just people posting about their lost cats and you know, Breaking Bad and stuff like that. So, but yeah, it's a great question. Definitely something I have to think about. If there's no more questions, I just want to say thank you to everybody at Ironhack. You guys have been really, really great. The teachers were amazing. The students are amazing. I know we're going to do something together in the future, and we're going to stay in touch. And just a special mention to my mentor, John Romano. Very busy guy, but always accessible to me. Helped me with lots of stuff. And Rude Mortensen, I'll call him Rude, but great guy, helped me a lot thinking about design, and yeah, that's it. So thanks very much.
Thanks to my family, my beautiful girlfriend.
Just like that? Oh, you hear me?
Yeah.
Nice. No. Oh. What? I think you have a lot of hair, so maybe this was. So, what this looks like in the future. Hello, my name is Maria, and I'm just going to explain about the app. I've been working on this, as what my colleagues have said. Well, first of all, thanks for coming, of course. I'm very glad to see a lot of people here. And also I want to say hello to people in the streaming. And I'm going to explain a little bit about this app. It's called Fields because it's an app for building your custom forms, which means that you can be anywhere with your app. It's an iPad app, and you can design something, the form that you want to capture data afterwards and store it. So the idea was, I have, for example, a friend that he's an engineer and he works in construction sites, very different projects, and he keeps telling me, I have to go one day to one place, one day to another place, and keep taking photos of what happened, and taking the location, writing an email to my boss, saying every time the same things. There's also, for example, my cousin, she's a furniture restorer, for example. Every time a client calls her and asks her to restore a furniture, she has first to go to the place, client, there's big pieces of wood or something, and she has to look at it, see the sizes, see the problems that it has in the place. He has to somehow take photos, take notes, and then go home and evaluate it in the thing. So this kind of problems are like asking for a tool like that. There are another tools out there. When it came to decide what project that I into, it's kind of loud. I kind of like this idea. It was a challenge. I could opt to do a app to solve a specific problem, like the construction site report or something like that. But I decided to do an open thing, which was a big challenge for me. I also like a lot productivity apps, so kind of. So here it is. And what happens? Well, as they say, and also because we are here in the mob, we have this problem that no puedo parar de crear. I can't stop creating. So we are all day having ideas, and I just keep calling Diego, my mentor. Oh, yeah, but let's focus on the app. What you have? Yeah, but I have this idea. So I had to try to come down to earth, and I just work on a minimum viable product that I'm going to show you today. It's just a base core app that my main goal was to make it flexible and all, and scalable enough, so I could start on it and make it bigger. So I think I'm going to show it right away. I'm going to use the simulator. I'm sorry about that. Is it there? Yeah. So I can see better. There. So you open the app, you find here your projects, and each project has forms. You can see this one has 1, this one has 4. So it's a basic feature that your forms, as they were captured data and used afterwards, they need to be separated in different projects, so you can reuse the same kind of form to different projects. The same construction site form, you can use it for a project in one place, and the next month for the next project. And the first project here is just a project for templates. These are forms that you cannot capture data with them, just to reuse them afterwards. Here I have an Ironhack project, pretty stuff like bird watching. You also have to capture a lot of data, and it's like a pain in the ass. Here we have our simple example for the restoration. I talked about it. I think it's a good example, so we can go for it. I'm going to push this good green button and create a new form. So this is where you design your form, build it the way you want. So here in the left pane, you can see a list of all the kinds of you have to perform. We now have 2, but of course this is meant to grow and have a huge variety of types you can add. And on the right side you can see the properties and the parameters you can change for the form, like the title for the form, the description, the project. And here, if we have a field, we can edit these properties, like go to a field. I don't see very well, but let's hope it works. Okay. So here, for example, it's just a simple. Well, I think you lose me. Let's go. So this is like the piece description, for example, for the furniture. We're going to add just a brief piece condition field, so we can explain here what happened here. Oh, sorry, I didn't select the thing. The piece condition. We're going to explain here the damages, furniture. I don't see what I'm typing. And again, oh, sorry. Okay, I didn't select it, so sorry. And of course, we want to take some pictures of the piece to see again the conditions with photos, well, more or less. And we're going to save it, and what? I didn't set a title, sorry. I think it's this one. Yeah, on my little form. We're going to this thing. Title, furniture evaluation. Going to save it. And once we have our forms created, you just go to the place, see the furniture, and just click here and start capturing data. You said here that it's old sofa. It looks terrible. And we take a photo. I'm sorry I can't show you the camera thing because it's a simulator, but let's say it looks like this nice cascade. Okay, never mind. And here you have your phone. You could send them, for example, an email or export it in some other formats. I will do that definitely soon. And of course you can create new projects. I haven't shown it, by the way. We just have this. Like, let's have a cool destroyer. You're going like that. I can see okay? Yeah, and we could start adding here our things also. So here's the basic thing, the minimal viable product. I think I'm running out of time. So let's go back to the presentation. Take the mouse. So as I told you, I had a lot of ideas, and I just want to tell you just a few of them, see if you like it or not, maybe. So my idea is this app. It's definitely an open source project, and the challenge I had and one thing I had in mind all the time when I was coding is that this has a simple process for other developers to add new components to the fields library. If you've seen, sorry, if you've seen the left pane of the form, we had just two kinds of fields now. So the idea is that this can grow. I would add, of course, a lot of components, but it would be nice that other developers can add custom components. The next huge step would be to make it social. For me, the great thing for this app would be that it would be really, you can just go and share the form that you just made, so everybody can use it. People that have the same or have the same activities, they're definitely going to use it. So it could be for the social part, a good approach, like you can have some X projects free, and then you have a fee if you want to use as many projects as you want. So, as to end, the challenges I think that I have for this project and what I've been messing around, or what I have fun with, if you want to call it like that, is like it's a huge core data thing, and I also wanted to use magical record, which I did, and I understand a lot of things about magical record after this project, and I also use a lot of Git. I play around a lot with design patterns, like I have a collection of all patterns we see throughout the course, since the massive view controller to the clean interactor, nice TDD class. Also unit testing, of course, and also some cool animations like the pop-up that drops down and falls down. Just fun things like that. So basically, this is the idea. This is what I have by now. And of course, thanks. I want to thank everybody. I have to mention my friend Alberto Vicente, who he's the one behind the idea, and who talked a lot about this project also. He's also an artist, has very great photos, you can look there. Javier Navarro has made a nice little break icon. My fellows, pigs and chickens, of course. The mall for cinemas has been a great place to have fun here. and I have to separate special mention here. I just have to, and I think I'm not talking only like on my colleagues. Thank you, Diego Felice. He was our teacher for 3 weeks. He's also been my mentor. He's just messed up with our heads. We are all day saying this phrase over and over again, and some other stupid things, but we are really thankful for him. So that's it. Woo!
I have when you fill a form, the data where is keeping? What do you do with the form?
everything is stored locally, so the idea would be that you have some nice export options, of course, CSV, and of course send email, PDF, everything. The storage in the cloud could be like for the social version of the product, if it may come in the future, I'd like to. So it's local right now.
Okay. About the logo, what is represented?
It's a rake, you know, where you work in the field. So because this app is for field work and everybody that works in the ground and outside. So
okay.
And it's also a tool. So.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. Other questions? Oh. Okay. Thank you very much.
Most of you guys actually know me. Some of you, most of you, yeah. That is right. I'm the girl that sits behind the secretary and the cleaning lady sometimes upstairs. So I'm Cecilia. I founded Fa Cafe. I'm also the founder of Mom, Makers of Barcelona. And Xavi asked me, still? I could hear myself. It's like, no? Okay. So, how to speak today about making stuff. I'm going to share with you guys a little bit about my experience, you know, why I really believe in this whole entire maker movement and why we really should all make stuff. Kind of like Maria, no puedo parar de crear. That's kind of how I'm not from here, not Spanish, but that's my real name, Cecilia. It's my real name. I was born as a Cecilia. I was born in Hong Kong, far away. Came about 12 years ago to Barcelona. I'm American. Afterwards, I went to the US to study, but I've been here for 12 years. And when I came to Barcelona, I didn't speak Spanish. I didn't even speak Catalan. So, you know, I came here for love. My husband, now boyfriend, then brought me here, and I just stayed here. But it was a struggle because I didn't know anyone. I couldn't really practice as an architect. I couldn't find a job. It was very frustrating. So I thought, wouldn't that be great if we make a home for professionals, where everyone can, it's like a meeting point where people can get together and do stuff together. Okay, so that was kind of the birth of the idea of Ma Makers Barcelona. Okay, let's talk about a little bit about philosophical stuff. Right, a little bit, just bear with me here. Okay. So, let me ask you this question. Ooh. Did I do something? Got too excited? Stuff. What stuff do we have here? Stuff. Papers, computers, jeans, t-shirts, jackets, cane. How many of us know where our stuff comes from? How do we make our own stuff? Ooh. No. T-shirts, no, none of that. How many of us know where our stuff comes from? Ooh, that's a good. China. Are you racist? No, I'm kidding. So we don't know where our stuff comes from. We use them every day. We have shoes, pants, you know, whatever. We don't know who make our stuff. Why is that important? So here goes the story. Back a long time ago, pre-industrial times, who made stuff? Yeah, I'm asking, who made stuff back then? No? Everybody, but there's a name for it. Artisans, right? Back then, artisans make stuff. What do they make? They make plates, metals, they make carpentry, they made stuff But, you know, it's stuff that you need. I need a pair of shoes, now I'm gonna get a pair of shoes, right? That was that period. And then what happened? Industrial revolution comes, then who's making stuff then? Machines, factories. And what kind of stuff are they making? Mass production. Same car, same color, being produced hundreds of times. Okay, then what happened? Who's making stuff here? The Chinese, right? Yeah, you think? No, not really. They're like, everyone, all the making has been sent offshore because it's cheap. Chinese people are cheap, right? Not me. I'm an exception. But alternative service providers, no one make anything anymore in developed countries. We're all hiding behind our computers and we're doing our work, but we have forgotten that there's this whole entire sector in fabrication. Okay, so why is that important? Let's go back. Let's talk about education, right? Okay, so here, what sort of education do we have in pre-industrial times? Hardly. Right? There was no schooling unless you're really well aristocratic families and you have a tutor and give you all the information you want. But if your dad is a carpenter, most likely you will be a carpenter, right? If your dad is a blacksmith, you will be a blacksmith. This is as limited as there is back then. What happened here? We know that, right? All the farmers, they're converting into moving, and they have to teach everyone, and the system of education was created. They made classrooms, they were teaching kids, same thing all over again. It's like the mass production line. So you have the teacher and the student model. And then what happened in the end? Not in the end, no. What happened nowadays? What's going on with education?
Information is available.
Yes, but education, formal education, it's still here. So we're still mass educating children with standardized information, right? Okay, so last comparison, we'll move on. Consumer patterns. Who's buying stuff here? And what are they buying? They buy basic essentials. They're not going to have 50,000 pair of shoes like Kim Kardashian, right? They have that one pair that they wear, and if you have a hole in it, they will make reparations, right? There's no luxury items unless you're the lucky few. Here, we see a trend of the middle class growing. People starting to be able, because the production costs have down and people can start buying stuff, right? But let's look at the consumer pattern nowadays. What are we buying? We're buying these extremely cheap products that is being made, in China. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but who make our stuff. We have no idea the conditions. We have no idea how they're being made. We don't really care. We go off, buy this $5 t-shirt, myself including. This is not a criticism, myself included. We buy these $5 t-shirts, we wear them maybe a couple of times. You have a hole, what do? Throw it out. Zero consciousness of where they come from, the importance of it, and whatnot. Okay, so that's not good. This is where we are now. So, then we move on. Everyone is talking about this third industrial revolution, right? We all know about this poster, right? It comes from the fourth. It was a campaign that was made during the war when all the men went into war and all the women are left behind to do factory work, right? And they did this campaign to work. And this campaign worked really well. It increases 40% of the women in the workforce. And then this was a cover of Wired magazine that was just a year ago. And obviously it was inspired by, Rosie the Rocketeer, but there's a couple of differences. What are the differences? The tool and
You do it at home instead of in the
kind of, yes. But what one other difference?
factory.
glasses.
Classic.
That's just a fashion statement, but look at the end of the tool. What is it depicting? It's the web, the internet. So there's a huge difference here. Now we are empowered, obviously, by the tools, which is technologies, that is connected in the internet, which is knowledge. And I love this saying. It says, if you can think it, you can build it. It's not so much the fact that we can build anything, it's the fact that there is now a mentality that we can do anything we want. So, here's the breakdown. What's exactly is happening nowadays, right? As we know it is instantaneous and it's ubiquitous, right? We go online, we search 0.2 seconds on Google, and information is there. Tutorial is there all the time. I looked up how to build a fusion reactor online the other day. There's a tutorial. You can build it in your kitchen with kitchen supplies. And then you can go to on the radio and buy the rest. You can build yourself a fusion reactor. Not that I know what that is, but maybe if I built it, I would know. Technology, as we know it, is cheap and accessible. You guys have been in Fab Cafe. We have a couple of 3D printers. I'm showing the week that we have, and here I have a couple, just as a toy. They cost about $200 each. The 3D scanner, structure sensor, which we have it upstairs, another $300. 3D printers nowadays you can probably get ordered online, sent to your house, and you can start making stuff, right? Not to mention all that gadgets that we have, the laptops, the iPhones, these toys that which most of us have. It's actually really cool. There's a change that the fact that the time to think about something, the prototyping it, is going to be too. What you guys did 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 months, 2 weeks, 2 months. Can't remember.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
And you guys have a product to present. Well, this guy over here in black, his name is Joe Justice. He's from Seattle. He created this project called the WikiSpeed. And WikiSpeed, he used the Agile. We use Agile. He used Agile, but not on programming, instead on car building. Right? So in 3 months, he built his first prototype, functional prototype that you can actually drive on the street with his friends in his garage with his garage tools. Not bad, right? Moved on to this next iteration. It took him 12 months to make the second one in black. And the third one took him 16 months. But what's really cool is that this version won the X Prize, is currently this, which costs about $20,000, fastest and the lowest emission car possible in the market that you can buy today. And it took him 16 months to produce. It's not bad at all. We're no longer talking about mass production. Everything is the same, repeated various times. This project is from a friend of mine called Jorge Instead. He's a programmer, she's a fashion designer, not stereotyping at all in any way. It's a lot of cross-disciplinary there. But they created this website, this tool, this algorithm, where they would scan a body and she would create a pattern. So each person would have their own customized clothing based on those patterns and based on the measurements of each person. So, about crowdfunding. Crowdfunding is an amazing thing. Upstairs we have really an amazing example of Bianca. I should have shown her. But anyway, she's a programmer actually. She did a 3D blanket algorithm. Really, really amazing. Put it on case. She ended up having $204,000 in 10 days and sold 800 blankets. This didn't happen 10 years ago. Communication. We all know about social media. This particular campaign, just kind of sad. This kid who's 5-year-old is terminally ill. So his parents, and he told his parents, I want to be that kid one day. So his parents, along with Make-A-Wish Foundation, created this hashtag, San Francisco Bad Kid. And that one day, the whole entire city of San Francisco, because of the communication, changed the whole city into Gotham City, and for this kid, and it had 545,000 tweets along with Instagram photos just for that one day. And the last thing I want to talk about is the fact that changing how we fabricate today. Remember we talked about globalization, we send everything to China and they produce it and then they distribute it and sell it us. Well, now we're actually changing the fact that design anywhere because of internet, we can all share online digitally, but then we can fabricate locally, right? So, for example, in the case of Fab Cafe, we can have a designer, in this case, the 360 book from a Japanese designer. You can send his digital design or a local company buy this design, and you can fabricate upstairs in any Fab Cafe or any similar shops where you can digitally fabricate and make things locally. Okay. So, what's exactly happening? How about pre-industrial times, right? There's no education, hardly any, we know that. Money, non-existent, right? Technology, also non-existent. Communication, there's no even telephone. So, like, all of this is broken back then. But then, we have access to knowledge through universities. But we're talking about, what, 3 or 4 years of education here? Funding, you have to ask your mom or your dad, or you can go to the bank. That is simple and easy. Technology, only accessible to a selected few, like institutions, big companies, and whatnot. Communication, you would have to go to big newspapers and big magazines to have a big impact on communication. This is what's actually happening nowadays. We have access to knowledge, thanks to the internet. We have access to funding. If you have a good project, you can use crowdfunding, and you can with a good project, you can easily get funding for it. Technology is low cost. Social media is do it yourself. So what's interesting is that actually for the first time in human history, this is actually pretty amazing. In human history, we have all of this within reach. All of these tools, well, there's no limitations. We're not dependent on government. We're not dependent on the church. It's happened a long time ago. We're not dependent on banks. We're not dependent on big companies. We can do anything ourselves as an individual. For the first time in history, we have the power. That's actually amazing. The problem is we don't know. We're like superheroes, but we don't know it. So what needs to happen? We as a society need to start changing our surroundings. First, we need to convert our kids, our children, from passive learners to active doers. So instead of just sitting passively and receiving information, they actually have to actively use their hands and create stuff. Okay? Instead of passive consumers, you make them into active makers. Again, going to H&M and brainwash shopping stuff randomly. Wow, why don't you create your own toys? Why don't you create your own, things? This kid, actually, his name is Quinn Etienne. He's 12 years old. He created a kit, an Arduino, as a robot to play, and he sold this kit to other children to play. He's actually an entrepreneur, maker thing. He's 12 years old. Wow, now he's a professor at MIT to adults. So we need to start allowing or shifting all these big institutions, civic centers, libraries, dead spaces, incorporate communities, make them usable. Spaces by itself has no meaning. This already. The paradigm before was making local, designing local, making local, right? Globalization, we think locally, but we fabricate it globally. And the last one shifting towards is that we can think globally, but then we make locally, which in turn makes it a lot more sustainable. Then we know where our stuff is being made, we know how they're being made, we know why they're made. That says that if you have made something yourself, you're actually 5 times more likely to have to, as 5 times more valuable for you to keep that thing that you have made yourself. This is actually Fab Cafe Tokyo. And the last thing is, instead of, in the old days where one idea, I guess this was like 100 years, 50 or 100 years ago, you have one big idea, right? Now, the rate of innovation is so rapid that you have so many ideas all the time. We're bombarded with ideas all the time. That's great. But ideas like Foldscope, right? Foldscope is a microscope that someone had designed that cost 50 cents to fabricate using a laser cutter. 50 cents. That could be shipped off flat to several countries. It could be used for a science experiment elsewhere. Bad. Developed by a student, actually. And this guy who sells 3D e-waste to make his own 3D printers and resell it as a business. And this is not just talk. This is actually happening. NASA just launched a competition, maybe this was old, maybe a couple months ago. They just launched a competition to look for innovative ideas from citizens. Not from a research lab that they have created in-house, no. Anybody. And they just launched this, so in case you're interested to work for NASA, in case you're opportunity. So this is my perspective. I think we're all superheroes. By day, we don't know it. Most of us don't know it yet, but we need to kind of discover it. So imagine if we all have this superpower, and we all have different superpowers, and we all work together, and we all progress together, and we all, very quick and rapid, just making stuff non-stop. How we can progress so much faster, so much more collectively, making cool shit. Just, That's not funny. So, you maker, make stuff. Don't stop. Stop it there. Neither can you. So, that's it. Thank you. Questions? No time for questions. I think we need to move on. Questions? Comments? Criticism? I see criticism.
Hi. Could you? Hi. Could you speak what you make? Because you don't speak about what you build for yourself, unto yourself. It was very amazing. You can
built this. No, I made many things. So I didn't want to bore you with this. The mob actually started when my wonderful husband working upstairs. I was pregnant. Well, when my first child was born, 8 years old. Now, so 8 years ago, he bought me a sewing machine. He bought me a sewing machine. Did you hear that? He bought me a sewing machine. That should be shocking.
Yeah.
So, that was shocking, right? Okay, so, it's just not me. So, he bought me a sewing machine. I was very depressed because I didn't feel like I was doing anything productive. So, he bought me a sewing machine and I was like, what the fuck? Okay, can I say cuss words here? Sorry. Okay. Beep. So, I started. I was bored. I don't know if you ever sewed before, but the first time I ever sewed, shit, I did that, right? So I started compulsively making things for my kids, like shoes and dresses that my daughter never wore any of it because she hated it, like my design. So, but as we would come home, I would run to him and say, have you seen what I made? Have you seen what I made? And he's like, he doesn't care for it. And I'm like this little 5-year-old who run to his parents and say, have you seen what I made? And your eyes kind of glow? Have you forgotten how that feels? Right? Well, then so I started making stuff, more stuff, right? The next time my friend said, I need a disparador, what do you call that? Remote release, whatever. To connect to the camera and you press trigger for my Canon camera. And I said, let's make it. And he looked at me like this. So we went on the remote, we Googled online. It says, disparador or trigger for a model Canon 348. There was a tutorial. We went on the radio, we bought $5, $6 worth of equipment. We went home, plugged it in, and it worked. Oh my God, it worked. I was like blown away. Website. I need a website. He said no. And then I said, I'm free. It was like, fine, you have 2 weeks. Yeah, you have 2 weeks. So I Googled HTML. This was like HTML era, 8 years ago. No, there's no Flash. There's Flash. There's Flash, there's HTML, there's PHP. Random stuff, right? Basic copy paste. It worked. And it's beautiful. And I made it. And I sent it to him. And he's still using it today. That was 8 years ago. So, keep making stuff. And then I realized, oh my God, if you of making increases your self-confidence. Mind-blowing. Do people know this? So I thought, oh my God, I have to open something so that we can share this craziness of mine. So here you go. So, and I made a lot more stuff afterwards, but that's kind of my story. Okay, I should shut up now.
Well, thank you very much for coming. See you next lecture.
Okay.